How satisfied are you with your work? When you get up in the morning, do you put your feet on the ground and say, oh my gosh, I get to go do, and then fill in the blank around your work? There's an amazing statistic. It's actually a stunning statistic where studies have been done. In fact, CBS just published something where it said that 65% of people are unhappy or dissatisfied or mildly okay with their work. I've read reports where it's as high as 80% of people are dissatisfied with their work. That's a startling, stunning statistic. So, how satisfied are you with your work? Do you love what you do? Do you love the activities? Do you love where you're doing it? Do you love how you're doing it? Do you love how much you're doing it? Well, today I want to share with you 3 tips to go from passionless to purposeful work. If you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you share, comment, hit the like buttons, whether you're watching this live or the broadcast. And if you know that you want to go deeper with what you're hearing, that you're really ready to turn the spigot on with your work, really developing work that you love. I'm in my office. I broadcast from my office because this is what I love to do. If you want to have a conversation about your work, put the word purpose, because we're talking about purposeful work, fulfilling work, satisfying work today. If you want to have a conversation about you and your dream work, your dream contribution, put the word purpose in the comment section. My name is Felicia Searcy, and it is my joy to be your partner in believing right now. See, your dream is my passion. Now, we are wonderful, expansive, brilliant beings. Of us was created with deep purpose, with gifts, with talents, with capabilities. And so few people on the planet really understand that. In fact, most people, as I said, such a remarkable percentage of people are living, they work to live rather than live to work. What if you really could do that? I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I was asking what they were doing, what they did, and they shared with me. And then I said, well, do you love it? And it was just like, no, work is a means to an end. And I was like, oh, God, really? Really? In a good job, you'll spend, when I say good, in terms of timing, people will work 8 hours. And a lot of people will work upwards of 10 hours a day. Think about this. Think about working 10 hours a day doing something that is okay, or, you're good at it, but it just doesn't bring you alive anymore. You may be one of those people that when you think about the work that you're doing in the world, you like it, it's okay, it's enjoyable, but it's not what you would do if you weren't paid for it. That you're not doing something that you have to do. What's fascinating about this for me, I couldn't imagine doing anything different. I must do, compelled to do this. And this is what I want for everybody, to be able to get up every morning and know that what you've got on your schedule, what you've got on your calendar in terms of work, whether it's paid or volunteer, I'm talking about sharing your gifts, your talents, and your capabilities, that you are putting your feet on the ground and you're going to something that you have to do. You are compelled to do it because you have a burning desire for it. That's what I want to help you understand today. All right, so 3 tips to go from passionless. Maybe it's good. When you ask somebody how they feel about their work, it's good, it's fine, to move from it's fine to, oh my God, I love this. From passionless to purposeful work. 3 tips, because this is how you are meant to live. All right, so tip number 1, you were created, you were designed with these remarkable, indescribable gifts, capabilities. Woven into the very DNA of your being is the design of a brilliant you who's bringing your highest contribution to the body of humanity through your gifts, your talents, by sharing those things that are uniquely yours to share. Every single one of us came into the planet with a remarkable set of gifts, capabilities, and talents that we were charged with sharing those gifts and talents and capabilities, and to do it in a way that's life-giving. You know, one of the things that I'm grateful for, just to give you a little bit of my story, is that I've always done work that I felt really good about. I've always been in purposeful work, but it wasn't always in a life-giving way. I spent the first part of my career teaching. My degrees are in speech therapy, master's degree in speech therapy. And I really enjoyed the work. I mean, how many of you really enjoy your work? But I didn't enjoy the way in which I was doing it. Particularly my first job. My God, I had, special ed, and it was like this assembly line where these kids would just come in, and it was in a high school, and I literally had over 100 kids that I was responsible for seeing once a week to help them fix whatever was going on with them. It was untenable, if that's the right word, untenable. It was impossible. It was truly an impossibility. And I remember feeling so overwhelmed and so discouraged and like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I really make an impact, really make a difference? And I was generating pretty much, I mean, I'm not going to say I wasn't generating anything, but it sure wasn't enough to make a living on. I was actually working in the poorish, I was working in Louisiana at the time, and their counties are called parishes. I went to school in Louisiana, and I worked right after there. And I was working in the poorest parish in the state, in one of the largest schools, and just feeling like I just wasn't making a dent. I just wasn't making a dent. And I remember feeling so frustrated and so inadequate, and wondering if this was all there was. Is this all I was meant to do? And it was about that time that I discovered these laws, these principles, these invisible laws that govern our results. And I began to work with them. And I began to see that it was okay for me to expect to live, yes, and to work in an environment that felt good, that would allow me to truly share my gifts, my talents, my capabilities in a life-giving way. And so that was the beginning of really beginning to formulate work situations that empowered me, that enlivened me. Now, here's the thing about our upward evolution, about our own ongoing evolution. We're always being called into more of who we are created to be. And I know many people, and very good, well-intended people, who will have a career and they will just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, because it's what they know, it's what they've become familiar with, it's easy, and there's not a whole lot of growth. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not people. I mean, I'm continuing to grow in what I'm doing now, and I can't imagine doing anything different than what I'm doing. Attitude when it comes to our work, that this is what I got trained for, this is what I know, I do pretty good at it, I got a routine going, so don't mess with what I have. And people, they're satisfied and they're settled, and you're not growing. You stop growing. Step number one is to realize that you have these remarkable gifts and capabilities that are meant for you not only to use and share as you serve, but that you are to grow in your capacity to bring these gifts and capabilities in a much greater way to the people around you in our world at large. So tip number one, really be aware that you have these remarkable gifts, capabilities, talents that have been bestowed on you to share. That it is the way that you are meant to bring your highest contribution to the body of humanity. And it's not just about learning how to use them once and then going from that same level here on out, but understanding that as a growing, evolving being, we're meant to continue to grow these capacities and to share them in a way that's truly empowering and life-giving. So as I looked at my journey, one of the things that I'm grateful for is that I early on learned to pay attention to those two signals from my soul, longing and discontent. And that as I continued to grow in my awareness of how these laws work, I became willing to really pay attention to when it was time for me to grow into my next incarnation. And so I can look at my work history and see that when I hit places where it was I was no longer satisfied, I raised my hand and said, "All right, I'm in for what's next." But there's a prevalent theme throughout my work life, which is one of teacher. I came out of the womb knowing that I wanted to help people by helping people break down complex topics in order to be able to apply them in their life in a way that truly made a difference. Everything I've done, pretty much, except for a couple of odd jobs, number one, to help me get through college and, when I was in high school. But even in high school, I volunteered as a tutor. That if you notice, now why does this matter to you? It's like, okay, good for you, Felicia. I'm listening to you. La, 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 la. Why this matters to you is because there's a predominant theme for you. And even that matches your gifts, your capabilities, your skills, your talents. And even if you're in work where you're using those gifts, is the work challenging you to grow your gifts? And are you in an environment that really brings you alive? So the first tip is to be really clear. You are bestowed with gifts, talents, capabilities that are yours to develop and share. And you are meant to do them in a way that is empowering and enriching, that your gifts and capabilities, to the degree that you develop your gifts and capabilities, it reflects the level of value that you bring, and to allow yourself to be compensated for those things. All right, so tip number one, you are designed with remarkable gifts, capabilities, and talents. And so I'd love to hear what some of your gifts are. I know that I'm at heart, I am a teacher and a believer in others. I believe in others. I am a teacher and I believe in others. I walk through airports supporting people stepping into their dream. I can't turn that off. I can't turn it off. So what are those things about you that you can't turn off, that you have to do it? And have you given yourself permission to really identify your gifts, your talents, your capabilities? Because again, these were gifts that were given to us and that we are being charged to share in ways that truly make a difference for others. All right, so that's tip number one. So in the comments, whether you're watching this live or the replay, share what is it that you know is yours to give. Yes, Charmaine, you share the teacher's gifts and you're brilliant at it, Charmaine. As you help parents and kids know how to create environments that are good for them. Okay, now, so here's the second tip. Once you realize that, then it's up to you to begin to dream into, so what would I love to do with these gifts and talents and capabilities? What's the scenario that I would love to create? So I worked with that tool, and what I realized was that, I for a long time I worked in really challenging work situations. I did a lot of work in inner city. I worked in very rural areas where education was a tougher endeavor for people. It was a tougher endeavor for parents, for kids. And I remember thinking, gosh, I wonder what it would be like to work in an environment that was easier. And there was, and I'll never forget this. As I began to think that, what would it be like to work in an easier environment? I went to a training where, because I'm always, today especially, always growing my skills, my capabilities. So I went to a training, and out of the blue, I'm sitting down with another teacher who we get into this conversation about empowering situations. And she told me about where she taught at the university lab school. It was campus university, campus school there in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and it was affiliated with Middle Tennessee. And it was the primo school to teach at. And I really had to work with my self-image to imagine myself teaching kids from successful families where parents had an awareness to have a high value on education, and where I then became adjunct faculty at Middle Tennessee State University in the education department. That was so far out of my realm of the way that I saw myself. Now, why this is so important is because you have a habit around what you think about your work, how easy your work should be, or how hard your work should be. In my mind, I was doing valuable work if I was working with people who were really struggling, and I was struggling. And when I heard about this position at campus, and know that those positions didn't come up very often because there were only 6 grades and there were only 2 classrooms at each grade level, and some of those teachers had been there for decades. It's like the rumor was, you got into campus, you didn't leave. And I can remember thinking, oh my gosh, the freedom, the ability to innovate and work with faculty over, the education faculty at MTSU and the kids in my room. Do I dare imagine that for myself? So right now, regardless of the degree that you're using your gifts, your talents, your capability, do you dare imagine a different possibility? And I want you to feel my arms around you and supporting you, and to boldly dare yourself to imagine a different possibility. Because here's the thing, your willingness to imagine a possibility that seems so far off your radar and just doesn't match with the way that you saw yourself, that's when you begin to touch something so divine inside of you, and you are using this remarkable faculty called our imagination. And it all starts in our imagination. And I remember going through college that I imagined myself working in really challenging work situations. Number one, because there was a degree of feeling called to do that, and I'm very grateful that I did. And I had a false sense of nobility, that if noble, or somehow made me more holier, that I was holier, that if I'm working in these really tough neighborhoods, in these tough situations, somehow that made me holier. Now, that wasn't the only reason why I did it, because I really did feel there was a portion of my life where I felt called to do that. And then this opportunity to work at campus school came along, and it's like, oh my God, do I even dare? And so I began to work with a vision. I began to work with, I drove to the school and I peeked in the windows, and the school was built like in 1900, when MTSU was first, the portions of MTSU were first built. And it was just this old, wonderful building that had terrific character in it. And I actually visited this teacher in her classroom to walk around. And I had a degree of awareness, nowhere near what I have now. I had a degree of awareness of how we create our results. And so I went and I visited her, and it was at her grade level. It was at third grade level. And that's where I was, I had moved out of special ed into the regular classroom, and was teaching third grade at the time at a rural school. And I put it on. And I got to tell you, I had to fight the voices that said, you're betraying the people who really need you. That this is not for you. You don't for these people. You do not have the skill or the same degree of expertise that these people have. I mean, oh my God, those voices they got so loud. But that's the good news. The good news is the purpose of your vision is to allow you to begin to entertain different possibilities for yourself, and everything unlike what you want to create and who you're becoming must start talking to you. Because if you follow me and you listen to me, you know that the purpose of your dream is not for the getting, but it's for the growing. And it's great for the getting. You definitely want to celebrate that. And it's for the growing. So I had to grow into being the woman that was a match for this position. And I'll never forget the interview. It was the principal, and there was a committee of teachers. And I had to cause myself to imagine myself as their peer, not somebody who was looking for a favor, but that I had to walk into that room knowing I am just as capable as you are. And I had to work with myself with that. So one of the reasons why people stay stuck is because they're really just not able to imagine a different path. And first of all, to really own the fact that you've got these remarkable skills and talents, and that you have been bestowed these skills and talents, and that we have a responsibility to develop these skills and talents, and then to really give themselves permission to imagine different possibilities for themselves. Oftentimes a different possibility, and that can be a really scary thing. And this is where you come to know yourself. This is where you come to discover something so much more profound that's seeking expression by means of you. So, second step, begin to create a vision of what you would love around your work. So in the comment section, whether you're watching this live or the recording, I would love to hear what's one thing for you and your vision that you have to create in the area of your work as you're sharing your gifts, your talents, your capabilities. All right, so number 2, there's a vision. All right, number 3 is that in order to move to where you want to go, you fill the space up where you are. Now, what I mean by this is that there's 2 directions I want to take from with this. Number 1, you be rabid. It's probably not a very good word, and you become let's think. Let's not think of y'all having rabies. Let's come up with a different word. You become compelled. You are compelled to grow those gifts, those capabilities, that you keep developing your skills, your capabilities, your talents. You know, I do that from two perspectives. I stay in what's called my awareness training. That's what I'm teaching you here. I training to develop my ability to help you grow your understanding of how results are created by continuing to grow my own understanding of how results are created as I bear witness to the power of these laws in my life. And I stay in containers to grow my ability to teach, to speak, to support people in creating lives that they love. So 2 sets of skills, 2 sets of talents. As you grow those skills and talents, the universe sees that you have gotten bigger than your current container. And I can see it every step along the way. As I kept growing my skills and my capabilities, I outgrew my current container, and the universe accommodated accordingly. It's the same thing for you. As you keep growing your skills and your steward of your gifts and your talents, the universe then increases the size of your container in order to accommodate your new growth. Second piece of filling up the space where you are is that if you find yourself in a situation that's not to your preference, whether it's a job that may not be to your preference, or you're building a work that's not quite at the level that you want it to be, as you pour your whatever the current container is, and you bring your best, you bring it on, you bring your best, everything that you're learning, and you go way above and beyond what the expectation is. Again, you're filling the container up, and the universe says, this container's not big enough. Your container must expand to accommodate your growth, your evolution, and the amount of good and increase that you're pouring into a particular situation. So what's one thing that you can really turn the in order to serve your community? I mean, there are a number of things that I'm doing to serving my community at large as I continue to grow my capacity to serve through this venue. And my team and I are looking at ways to really up-level the service for my clients in terms of better organization on their members page. I continue to increase the way I deliver my coaching. So what is one area that you want to turn the volume up on in terms of bringing a higher degree of service, knowing that as you do, you are filling up, you are becoming a person of increase. You are filling up your current space. So it must grow and accommodate accordingly. Share that in the comment section. And if you want help with getting clear around what is emerging for you, helping you understand why it may be that you're stuck, and really hearing what your next empowered step is, put the word purpose in the comment section, and we will make sure that you get hooked up. I have a very limited number of spots to talk, but let's, if I'm not already working with you, let's you and I talk. All right, Charmaine, this is great. So your question is, I have a conflict because a part of me just wants to retire. So the part of you that wants to retire, what if you could do what you're doing in a way that was life-giving and didn't have to feel like so much hard work? It didn't have to feel like it was so much hard work. What if you could? Just what if you could? Just imagine what a wonderful rhythm of work and play, satisfaction, abundance, what it would look like for you. Because I know you've been working hard. You've been working hard. So let's change that pattern. And I saw that you just put the word purpose in. So yeah, we'll have a conversation about what it can look like to make it easier. All right, so let's recap. And if you are appreciating this information and others would be served by this, please share this. Share this with anybody that you know that is struggling in their work or struggling to build a work in order to allow me to support them. So let's do a quick recap. How do you go from passionless to purposeful work? Number one, understand that you have these amazing gifts and capabilities that are yours to develop and share. Number two, begin to work with this amazing faculty called your imagination, and to dream into what you would love in terms of a work situation that is life-giving and highly, the compensation, you're being well compensated, and fill the space up where you are by growing your gifts and capabilities so you outgrow where you currently are, and that you're pouring so much good into your current container that the universe must increase the size of your container in order to accommodate that much good you're pouring into it. All right, so would love to hear from you. Again, share this if this has been meaningful for you and you know other people would be served by it. Like it, comment, and if you want to have a deeper conversation around your work, again, I have a very limited number of spots available to have these conversations, and I want to support you in bringing your highest work to the world, because it is the way you bring your highest contribution. If you want to have that conversation, put the word purpose in the comment section. You're signed up to know when I'm going live. I'll be going live again next Tuesday at 12:15, and so I look forward to seeing you then. My name is Felicia Searcy. It is my joy to be your partner in believing. Your dream is my passion. God bless. Yes, Michelle, we're already talking. Yay, glad you're here. And we'll see you on Thursday. All right, mwah.